Hey guys, what's up and welcome to my channel. I'm Mailey. So it is October. Well, actually it's not October, but it will be October when I upload this video. Since it is October, we are now officially in my favorite time of year, spooky wooky season. I haven't really talked about my background much on this channel. I think I've mentioned a few things here and there back when I worked on Broadway, but I actually went to school for costume, hair, and makeup design for stage and screen, and for the last 3 years I worked on Broadway and in film and television. I guess I can put some insert of shows I worked on here. We are in the month of Halloween, or what I like to call spooky wooky season, because I'm an adult. Halloween is my favorite holiday, and not because I am a dark person, even though I'm drinking iced coffee out of a skull. But Halloween is the one time of year that the majority of people are into what I am into 365 days a year. I thought it would be fun to not do some crazy videos where I'm doing these really elaborate costumes, but to cater to the majority of people, the last minute costume people. So I am talking to the people that have a party in a week or a party tonight. Those are the people I am making this video for. I put together a list of 10 people. What am I doing with my fingers? These are gold. I tried to put together a list of 10 people that I think you could go into your closet or go out and get a few key items that you can pair with things in your closet to put together a quick costume. So without further ado, let's get started. So I forgot to mention this in the intro, but the list of people I put together are people I think that are relevant to 2020 or fairly relevant, and that will be pretty popular costumes this year. And without realizing, I stuck to 5 different categories, and I wasn't sure what category to do first, so I wrote them all out on a piece of paper and drew them from a hat. The categories I have are Broadway, TikTok, Emmy Awards, Netflix, and singers. So first up, we have TikTok. TikTok really did gain a lot of popularity this year, and we can't do TikTok people without doing the queen of TikTok herself, Charli D'Amelio. Now, I'm going to try to break down these looks without sounding too much like a Costume 101 class, but I'm going to go over why I picked who I picked and what makes a good choice for a last-minute costume. The reason Charli D'Amelio is a good last-minute costume is because for the most part she seems like a pretty typical teenager and doesn't wear anything that seems too out there that you can't find in your own closet. For the Charli look that I put together, I went with an oversized sweatshirt because I noticed that she either wears oversized sweatshirts or crop tops, and then I put light wash jeans and some white tennis shoes. This is very close to, I think, almost an exact look that she had. She also always parts her hair in the middle or styles it, and then has a colorful underlayer. I went with a blue underlayer, and the last 2 things that really stuck out to me are her long nails. I don't have long nails, so I went out and got press-on nails, and then she always has a Dunkin' iced coffee, and I recently found out that she has a drink named after her at Dunkin', but I could not bring myself to order it because, girl, that is just too much sugar. Next up in the category of TikTok, we have Christine Snaps. I chose Christine because although she isn't the biggest creator on TikTok like Charli, she also has really specific things that make Christine Christine and make this a good last-minute costume. Christine, for the most part, has a very uniform look where she wears a tie-dye t-shirt in most videos with leggings and a messy bun. And so taking one of my tie-dye t-shirts, I wanted it to look more specific to Christine's look, and she specifically has a tie-dye that she wears often that says "Not Your Role Model," so taking my Posca paint pens, I made that t-shirt. The other two things that really stood out to me that make Christine Christine is her love of Dunkin' Donuts, because of course people on TikTok for some reason really love their Dunkin' Donuts, and her cactus. And both of these are really easy to get, making Christine a really good choice for a last minute costume. Up next, we have singers. And I really did go back and forth on who to pick, but again, I stuck with two people that have a very distinct style. And up first, we have Jojo Siwa. She truly has the most distinct style. I mean, you could wear a side pony and a bow, and I'm pretty sure people would know who you are. I personally don't have a lot of colorful clothes, so I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to put together a look. But looking at some of her pictures online, she's not always in the craziest outfits. I saw her in a lot of t-shirts and leggings, and after that, I was pretty confident I could put together a look. For hair, I of course did the classic Jojo high side pony with a bow, and the bow I actually made myself from some ribbon I got at Joann's. And for makeup, you really could keep the look pretty simple, maybe add a little bit of glitter or rhinestones, but I tried to quickly do some heart makeup that I saw her frequently do. I don't think I've mentioned this, but I did try to put these looks together as quickly as possible to show that these really can be good last minute costumes. And I'm also guessing most of you don't have an extensive collection of face paint and rhinestones like I do, so I really tried to limit the amount of products I used in my makeup looks. I've seen Jojo with some pretty intricate makeup, but I wanted to make this very beginner level, doing a blue and pink striped heart with rhinestones, and overall this makeup look took me about 20 minutes. From looking at pictures, I noticed that on a daily basis, Jojo wears pretty plain clothes, but she'll usually put on a pretty colorful jacket. So that is the kind of look I went for, wearing black shoes, black pants, the sparkliest shirt I have, and then putting a colorful jacket over the top. If you do have a more colorful wardrobe, you'll probably have a way easier time putting something together, but I was surprised that the only thing I had to purchase for this look was the ribbon for the bow. Now let's do the complete opposite of Jojo Siwa, Billie Eilish. Billie, like Jojo, has a very distinct style, which I'm pretty sure this is the first time anybody has compared Jojo Siwa to Billie Eilish, but that is how they are similar with their very distinct style. Billie specifically chooses to wear baggy clothes, and not just baggy clothes, but she also wears a good amount of layers, so that is the look I went for, pairing my husband's black checkered button-up shirt over a long black plain t-shirt, and then wearing sweatpants and black shoes. On top of wearing layered clothes, she also layers a lot of metal jewelry on top of each other. So grabbing all of the metal jewelry that I have, I layered that on top of each other. And to quickly finish off this look, I did black and green temporary spray because it's a little cheaper than going out and getting a wig. And this completes the Billie Eilish look. Next up, we have Netflix, or more specifically, Tiger King, the docu-series that took the world by storm. First up, we have Carole Baskin. This look was way too easy to put together. In the series, Carole even mentions that she pretty much only wears animal print, and then she also has this very iconic look throughout the series that she is wearing a pink flower crown. You could just go out and get a flower crown, but I decided to make one that looks a little bit more specific to her flower crown in the series. I picked up some fake flowers at Joann's, and cutting off the leaves, I started to hot glue those to a piece of yarn, and then taking the pink flowers, I covered up some of those gaps between the leaves. For the rest of the look, I wore jeans and cheetah sandals because I figured adding a bit more animal print didn't hurt, but as long as you are wearing an animal print shirt with this flower crown, people are instantly going to recognize who you are. Next up, we have the Tiger King himself, Joe Exotic. Y'all aren't ready for this. I still can't take myself seriously. I chose to do Joe, and not because I had anything even remotely close to his more outlandish outfits that he wears throughout the show, but to show you how you could quickly put together a look that is very similar to a lot of his more simple things that he wears throughout the show. But also I think this would make a really good couples costume, with one person being Carole Baskin and the other being Joe Exotic. And if you have a child or dog, you could put them in a tiger costume. That would be so cute. But for me, being a female trying to make myself look like Joe Exotic, I added some facial hair and twisted my hair up to make it look like it was a mullet. I of course then had to pose with my kitty cat, and I'm thinking I just need to Photoshop my husband into this, and here's our Christmas card 2020. But let me go over what I actually wore. I wore boots with some jeans, and then I cut off the sleeves of one of my old flannels and wore my husband's belt. And if you do have a belt buckle, highly recommend adding that. But again, I really think this would make a great couples costume. Don't we look great together? Next, we have up the Emmy Awards, and let's talk about the show that swept the Emmys. Creek. I don't want to say the name of the show in case there are children watching, but first we have Alexis Rose. I could go on and on for hours and talk about what a great job the costume designer did, but I'm going to try to break down Alexis Rose aesthetic, so even if you have really different things than what I paired together, you can still get an Alexis Rose costume. First up, we have suede. Throughout the show, I noticed that Alexis wears a lot of suede, either suede vests, suede headbands, suede hats, or suede boots, which is what I went for, and these ones specifically had fringe, and that's another thing that I noticed. Alexis's costumes have a lot of fringe to them. Next up, I found this hat with an Aztec print, and this was the only thing I purchased for this costume, but it also perfectly matched some of the color in the dress that I chose for this look. And speaking of the dress that I chose, I specifically stuck with a floral print dress because throughout the show I noticed that Alexis wears a ton of floral print. And the thing to finally complete this look is usually one long dainty necklace, unlike her mother, who is up next. Moira Rose is basically a girl after my own heart. She pretty much only wears black and white throughout the show with really big chunky necklaces. And she also wears a lot of white collared shirts. I didn't have a collared shirt, so I actually used my husband's shirt, and I was able to tuck it into the skirt I wore and hide the bagginess of this shirt by putting a jacket on. Moira actually reminds me a lot of a character on a TV show that I worked on, and we would layer a bunch of vintage jewelry on top of each other, so if you think you're looking at just one necklace, you're most likely looking at like 2 or 3 necklaces. For the bottom half, I wore a black and white striped skirt, fishnets, and black heels because throughout the show she wears a lot of heels and a lot of fishnets. And yes, Moira is known for her wigs throughout the show, but I thought I'd show you a cheaper option by doing a bit of black spray on the underlayer of your hair. And like Tiger King, I think these costumes would be even more effective if you and a friend got together and did them as a group Halloween costume. And last but certainly not least, we have Broadway, and yes, I'm going to tackle some last-minute Hamilton costumes. First up, we have Eliza. Now, I was a bit hesitant to tackle Hamilton for a few reasons. One, historic costumes and quick don't really go together, and also the second reason is because I actually worked with Philippa, who originated the character of Eliza, and having to look at a bunch of pictures of somebody you know feels a little weird. But because Hamilton came to Disney Plus this summer, I have a feeling that Hamilton and Eliza are going to be big costumes for Halloween this year. After getting over the fact that this was not going to be historically accurate, I put together this look. It was a white shirt and a white skirt, and I pulled the skirt up to be at an empire waist and tied a blue ribbon around to the front. And then I paired it with a pair of black flats, but I think you could wear really any colored flats. What makes this a good last minute costume is because 1, pulling the skirt up to be an empire waist feels somewhat historical, and then adding that blue ribbon is really recognizable for the character Eliza. Last but certainly not least, we have Hamilton, and I am actually very proud of this last minute costume. She is definitely not throwing away her shot. This jacket was way easier than it looks, but it is the most involved I got for any of the looks, but I'm going to now show you how I made this last minute colonial jacket. Taking my husband's suit jacket, and don't worry, this doesn't hurt a suit jacket at all if you do it right, I lightly tacked this off-white fleece fabric to the jacket. Taking strips of this fabric, I created the panels in the front, the collar, and also the cuffs. And I picked out 6 to 8 points that I was going to lightly tack this fabric down. And don't worry, once you take this out, just steam out where you had it pinned and it'll be good as new. I picked up a pack of gold and silver buttons, and using only the gold buttons, I sewed that to just the fleece fabric. And an alternative, if you're afraid of damaging a nice suit jacket, you could always just thrift a navy blue suit jacket and do the same thing. Taking that fleece fabric, I cut it into a vest shape and tacked it at the top using some safety pins and secured it at the waist using a belt. And I forgot I meant to sew buttons to the front, so I highly recommend doing that. For the lower half, I wore khaki pants and tucked those into leather boots, but if you are a guy trying to recreate this look, wear dress shoes and get some boot covers. It's just a piece of black fabric with elastic, and that will make your dress shoes look like boots. And that is your completed quick Hamilton costume. I hope you learned something from this video and what makes for a good last minute Halloween costume, so that even if you don't like anybody from this list, you can take what you learned and apply it to a costume of your choosing. If you liked this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and hit the notification button so that you know when I post, and keep watching out. This is the first of a ton of Halloween videos I have planned out, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye guys!